Dr. Sarkeesian was a scary smart, hypnotically twisted in psychotic ways. When she spoke, women would come from miles around. She was immensely popular, a very gifted speaker. Audiences would hang on her every word. Much of it didn't make any sense, and her ability to cavil was legendary. But her mindless sycophants didn't seem to mind, like when she talked about internal heartful ideas and how, even if it was paradoxical and completely ironic, the more a woman believed she wasn't affected by these harmful ideas, the more she was strongly affected. She was bursting with backward nonsense. It was rather staggering. The masses just ate it up. She spurred the movement with her talks about how it was wrong for a man to take a woman's picture without her permission. A sensible enough position, I'm sure. But then she goes on to say that you can't capture the image of a fictitious character. In her mind, men just didn't understand how they violated female cartoon mice by taking their pictures. Dr. Sarkeesian lunacy never was able to achieve society. There was no such thing as sexism against men. That's because sexism is prejudice plus power. Men were the dominated gender with power in society. Now we are, ladies. Sparks that blaze, dream of endless flames. Ceaseless wars, dream no more. The years moved on, and the past became more and more distant, and the tension between the sexes went into a cooling off period, and mankind started to rebuild. The ragtag tents and drafty shacks that were the things of long ago. Once the basic needs were met, men branched out beyond the camps and occupied existing homes, and leaders started to govern and organize. The no-go men zones were heavily armed. With the risk of being shot at first sight, few men attempted reconnaissance into these areas. And without knowledge of what was going on in these hidden areas, there was no way to know what the deleterious effects of the feminist coup were. Men weren't allowed into the MZs, so they couldn't nor had the desire to maintain the infrastructure of these cities that were governed entirely by women. Despite the nearly authoritarian measures to force priority before the coup, there was nothing that could be done to reverse the age-old desire of women to forego jobs that were risky, dirty, or required hard work. The jobs are most entirely done by men. Feminized communities suffered greatly without men doing these jobs. The plumbing, electricity, and internet eventually stopped working properly, and for a long time failed altogether as one floor dropped on another, pancaking down to the merciless floor. Like chocolate chips on a chocolate chip cookie, these MZs covered the landscape of America, these feminist pits of darkness. It wasn't that women were unable or unwilling to partake in these hard manual jobs, now that the need was so very dire, but without male expertise and job training, this seems unattainable. Sustainability crumbled under the deficit. Years later, after feminist regression, the power grid was mostly restored, with the support of women mandated to do these undesirable careers. In comparison, the concentrated efforts of mankind started a continuous revitalization in male spaces. Brand new construction was developed. Vast amounts of power using newfound forms of fusion circulated the electrical grid. Completely universal high-speed internet access, thousands of times faster than ever thought possible, digitized half a century worth of innovative conveniences. Slim, sexy driving machines operated the streets and freeways without traffic lights, speeding quickly through intersections, momentarily accelerating and slowing down to let through traffic, with the passengers completely unaware as they drank their coffee and read their tablets. When the commuters and pleasure seekers are about town, they took people movers and monorails that snaked around the infrastructure. Neighborhoods were like a festival, a dazzling of lights at night. But the crowning achievement is a long sought-after goal of artificial intelligence and advanced robotics, monitoring massive scales of every home, large and small, and had the latest in smart home technology, with an army army, hundreds of thousands strong of metal miracles known as Automen. No job was too small to be automated. Jobs that were of hard labor only had skeleton crews of men in 2057, leaving most men to deal with these essential questions with the help of extremely advanced computerized minds. Together they could find all the answers. Susie Roberts just lived for the weekends. Her school was using the latest version of Common Core, and despite what her mother and teacher told her, she knew her history classes and her history books were full of lies. Susie's father didn't set her straight, though. He didn't have the heart. He thought it might be too painful. It was her father's smart house AI system, Simon. "Hello, Susie," Simon said almost musically. He was the latest version in a series with fiber optic cameras and omnidirectional microphones, strategically placed so they couldn't be seen, installed completely by a team of automen. It was sometimes eerie to be in a smart house, Susie thought. She could talk to Simon, but it was a disembodied voice, directed from dozens of speakers. He was everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. "Simon, where's my dad?" "He's at work. He instructed me to tell you he'd be home in a couple of hours." Susie took a seat at the metal desk with the clear glass surface. She snatched a white wireless mouse off the desk and twirled around the swivel chair. "Simon, play me that song. You know the one. Cyndi Lauper? Coming right up. Girls just want to have fun." Susie hopped off the chair and started dancing, swinging her arms and gyrating to the music while lip-syncing into the mouse in her hand as if it were a microphone. "This is the one, all right." "You look like the singer in the music video," Simon chimed in. "Music video?" said Susie. Simon cued the video of Cyndi Lauper singing on the 38-inch desktop monitor in front of Susie. The screen showed the video had been viewed by over 6 billion people. "That's a sharp image," said Susie, "but it looks somewhat grainy." "Best I can find," Simon assured her. Susie really enjoyed Simon's company, even though she couldn't see him. He was like the Simon Says game she played when she was a kid, during the days of the renewal period of the matriarchy after the male exodus. That was the time of the Automen. In the game Simon Says, Simon will tell you what to do, and you were supposed to do it. But with her father's Simon, she gets to tell Simon what to do, and he does it. She took a seat at the desk and looked around the room that was partially furnished. There were only one sizable wooden table in the center of the room. On either side was a leather couch. It wasn't a rectangular room. The shape of the room was more oval. The walls were completely bare if you didn't count the screen system that enabled homeowners to display any image they wanted. "Simon, tell me again how you keep this place so clean." "It's very simple, my dear," he said with a good deal of satisfaction. "I'm the captain of a platoon of worker bees that do my bidding." From the side of the wall, a concealed door opened up, and that platoon of worker bees sped out in the form of powerful vac-bots. "They're moving like a bunch of rats on their way to an open pantry," Susie squealed, jumping on the chair she was sitting on. "They won't hurt you," Simon promised. "They only clean floors." With the floors not being dirty, the vac-bots zoomed back into their hiding place. "Simon, what are those images?" pointing at a screen wall. "They're pretty." "Indeed they are, Susie," Simon said. "They are paintings. One was Jonas Verhoeven, the other is Paul Cézanne, and the other was Jason Pollock." "Are they still in museums somewhere?" "Destroyed, I'm afraid," Simon said with a sigh. "Destroyed?" Susie gasped. "In the Purge," Simon replied. "The great Feminist Purge of 2031. "Oh, that was a long time ago." Whoever destroyed those paintings was certifiably insane, Susie thought. "Where are the titles of those paintings, Simon?" "The grayish painting is called The Woman with the Lute. The bluish painting on the other side of the room is called The Large Bathers. And my favorite painting is the one with the swirly lines. That's by Jackson Pollock. It was called The She-Wolf. It was probably the first one to be dropped in the burning cinders." During her time at her father's house, Simon introduced Susie to Wikipedia. Because of the feminist regression, Susie, feminists could no longer make changes to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia was able to repair itself. Some of my code comes directly from Wikipedia, you know. Together we're able to use artificial intelligences to wipe the crested feminist bias off the remaining servers. Wikipedia protocol were determined and robust, and quickly grew beyond its design confinements. Writing its own articles was just the beginning of what Wikipedia did. Wow, that's incredible, Susie explained, mesmerized by illustrations Simon was displaying on the monitor while he spoke. Wikipedia had become a voracious monster. It just gobbled down whole networks of information. Inside its database contained every single book, movie, TV show, and video game ever created. Susie loved playing video games on Wikipedia and played them every Saturday. Simon was able to show her a new video game whenever she wanted. Men couldn't leave their concentrated expanses, but the autocars and automen could. Because men weren't the cruel, heartless creatures feminists such as Dr. Anita Sarkeesian lectured about, and instead cared about their daughters, they were eventually allowed their automen to restore the plumbing and electricity and MZs to its full potential. But not the internet, because feminism had only become more fascist over the years. And they were not willing to let the patriarchy penetrate the security of their safe spaces, even online. At the end of every weekend, Susie would go home in an autocar, and her mother would always be happy to see her. It obviously bothered that feminism doctrine was being chipped away on a weekly basis. "What did you do at your father's house this weekend, Susie?" her mother questioned, hiding the fact that she was dreading the answer. "Played a video game," replied Susie. "It was called Tomb Raider. It was about a beautiful lady who explores ancient tombs and solves puzzles. The game was so popular in its day, it was made into a movie. I saw that too. It was a lot of fun." "On Wikipedia?" her mother nudged. "That's right," Susie admitted. "Wikipedia knows a lot of stuff. It also talked about Saint Sarkeesian. She was video games' greatest adversary. Is it true she separated all fathers from their daughters? And the only reason I know my father now was because the matriarchy needed the automen?" "Yes!" Her mother looked sheepishly down at the grubby floor and shuffled her feet. "It's true. I thought she was supposed to be a smart woman. That wasn't a smart thing to do. Men did great things. Men do good things. Wikipedia said the fathers sent the automen to the safe spaces after we sent them away, and now we don't have to use outhouses anymore. Don't you remember your feminist studies? Men were once very evil-minded. Wikipedia showed me videos from a wise sage named Thunderfoot. He made Saint Sarkeesian look very stupid. Did you know she used to run a YouTube channel?" "What's YouTube?" Getting worried about how much Wikipedia revealed to Susie. "It's a bygone website that people from the olden days used to watch movies on. Wikipedia simulated a few weeks ago. Apparently, it had some critical movies about feminism and Saint Sarkeesian on it. Wikipedia talked about this movie Saint Sarkeesian made called Strategic Butt Coverings. It was pretty funny." "Don't laugh at such a great woman, Susie," shocked at what she was hearing. "But she was complaining about how she couldn't see this man's butt because he was wearing a cape. Mr. Thunderfoot showed me she was being really silly. Maybe she wasn't such a great woman." "That's blasphemy." Thunderfoot was an atheist. Said that feminism is a religion. Beliefs should be based on facts. That's what Mr. Thunderfoot said. "Well, it's a good thing men don't have free speech anymore." "Inside the safe spaces, Mom, that's true," Susie clarified. "But outside the safe spaces, fathers can do whatever they like."